Good morning and happy Red Shirt Friday. I hope you guys are all remembering all those ones that are deployed. If you don't know any, say a prayer for them. I know a few and they're always on my mind. Anyway, happy Red Shirt Friday. On January 14, 2026, Congress held a hearing with the friendly title, Reevaluating the Rating Schedule, examining VA's efforts to modernize, I like that word, disability benefits. It sounds harmless. It sounds like they're trying to help. But as a disabled veteran, as a DAV chapter commander, as a certified service officer who works with these claims every single day, this hearing should absolutely get everyone's attention. When Congress talks about reevaluating the rating schedule and modernizing disability benefits, they're talking about the schedule for rating disabilities, the playbook that decides how much you get paid for PTSD, for your back, for tinnitus, for sleep apnea, for every service-connected condition you have. Change the schedule and you change your check, not just for future generations, but for future claims, future reviews, and how VA looks at your level of impairment going forward. And here's what should bother every disabled veteran watching this. They brought in VA officials, a federal watchdog, that's important, an economist, that's important, and a big policy research think tank that advises the government. I don't know if that's important. And a national nonprofit. But they did not invite disabled American veterans or any other major accredited veteran service organizations that represents millions of us and our claims. The people who live this system every day on behalf of veterans were not even in the room, not even invited. Okay, so let's start there. The panel for this hearing included senior leaders from the Veterans Administration, a senior medical officer from VA, a director from a federal watchdog office that audits and reviews programs, a senior economist from a large policy research think tank the government hires to study veterans and earnings, and a policy leader from National Veterans Advocacy nonprofit. Some of that is useful data. Data is useful, oversight is useful, research is useful, but there's a giant hole in that lineup. There were 0 major accredited veteran service organizations at the witness table. No disabled American veterans, despite holding power of attorney over more than 1 million veterans and families. DAV service officers are required by regulation to know the rating schedule inside and out and to apply it correctly in real claims every single day. So when Congress holds a hearing to talk about rewriting the schedule that doesn't even put one DAV representative in the witness chair, that tells you a lot about who they want to be shaping this conversation and who they do not. So let me say that again. That tells you a lot about who they want shaping this conversation and who they do not. So instead of the people who sit across the desk from veterans at DAV offices and chapters every day, you mainly get people who sit across from a spreadsheet. Okay, the earning capacity trap. Next, let's talk about one of the main ideas that keeps showing up in these discussions, average impairment of earning capacity, the big earnings loss studies. On paper, the law says VA disabilities compensation is supposed to be recognized how your service-connected conditions reduce your ability to work and earn in civilian jobs. That's the theory behind the rating schedule. Now VA and outside researchers are running large earning loss studies. They look at big groups of veterans with different ratings and track how much these groups earn over time. Then they say, looks like veterans with the condition at the percentage are doing about as well as people without it. Or this group is doing worse. Okay? Here's where that becomes dangerous. In the data, it's incomplete or shallow. It can't paint a picture that the veterans with certain disabilities are doing just fine in the labor market. Even when a lot of them are barely hanging on, underemployed, or bouncing from job to job because of pain or mental health symptoms. It can't completely miss the veterans who drop out of the workforce early. It can't miss spouses who have had to step into caregiver roles. It can miss the long-term damage that doesn't show up clearly in a simple income snapshot. Once you buy into the idea that the numbers say you're fine, it becomes very easy for policymakers to say, we're probably paying too much for this condition. That 50 really should be a 30. That 30 should really be a 10%, talking about disability compensation. Conditions like tinnitus, sleep apnea, or certain mental health issues don't need to be rated as high as they are now. We've already seen people talk about ideas like eliminating compensation for so-called minor disabilities, means testing disability pay so your benefits get cut if you earn too much, or cutting off or reducing checks below certain ratings like 30% and under. Veterans organizations have warned that proposals like that need to be stopped before they ever gain traction. If we sit quietly while the narrative becomes the data shows vets are fine, so benefits can be trimmed, then we shouldn't be surprised when they start trimming them. The Washington Post mindset, veterans as a place to cut. This hearing is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening at the same time some powerful voices in the media are pushing a very similar mindset. The editorial board of a very major national newspaper, the Washington Post, ran editorials saying that the VA benefits deserve scrutiny and floated the ideas of mean testing disability pay for higher earning veterans. What does that mean in plain English? It means if you're a disabled veteran and you manage to build a good career after service, they want to use your success against you. They want Congress to consider cutting or taking away the very benefits you earned in uniform because, in their view, you're doing too well. Veterans advocates, including national leaders, have blasted those editorials. They pointed out how outrageous it is to ask disabled veterans to balance their federal budget by giving up their earned compensation, while billion-dollar corporations and the ultra-wealthy are not even being asked to make that kind of sacrifice. So step back and look at the pattern. In Washington, here talks about modernizing the rating schedule and aligning disability pay with earnings data. In the media, powerful editorial boards talking about scrutinizing VA disability and means testing your benefits if you're successful. The common thread is this: some people in powerful positions view disabled veterans as a place to find savings. And that is exactly why organizations like the DAV that live and breathe veterans' claims and benefits cannot afford to set this out, and neither can we. How modernization turns into cuts. Everybody likes the word modernization. It sounds like progress, right? It sounds like updated medical standards, more consistency, and to be fair, there are parts of the rating schedule that are truly outdated and need cleaner, more accurate medical language. But modernization can quietly become a polite word for cut. Here's how that usually plays out. Experts say one research shows veterans with the disability of 50% are earning about the same as those at 30%. The schedule is too generous. We should lower that level going forward. Or they say because of advances in treatment technology, we believe fewer veterans will have long-term impairment from this condition. So lower ratings are appropriate. On paper, that sounds reasonable. In a hearing room, that sounds very responsible. However, at your kitchen table, that sounds like the next generation of vets with your same condition get smaller checks. You need a higher percentage to qualify for things like unemployability, education benefits for your kids, or state benefits that require a certain rating. Future reviewers feeling justified in asking, do your symptoms really justify this rating, now that the schedule says the condition usually isn't that limiting? And again, the people that the best position to challenge that is one who can say, hold on, here's what this looks like in real cases. Here's what happens when this vet tries to work. Here's how many times their jobs are lost. Here's what their day-to-day looks like. Our DAV service officers, DAV national advocates, who use the schedule every single day, DAV brings in the lived experience of thousands of veterans they represent, not just abstract numbers, and the reality check is exactly what is missing when hearings like this go forward without them. Why DAV is a firewall and how to join the fight. This is where the disabled American veterans become the firewall between you and bad policy. DAV does three crucial things. DAV represents you one-on-one with claims and appeals, using the rating scheduler every day to push your rating to where it legally should be. DAV employs trained, accredited service officers and policy experts who know these regulations, diagnostic codes, and percentages better than most anyone. People who can spot when a modernization proposal is really just a benefit cut wrapped in nice language. DAV has a legislative team in Washington. They meet with the lawmakers, they testify in hearings, they put formal objectives into the record. The ideas like mean testing or cutting so-called minor disabilities start to appear. When a big newspaper's editorial board suggests that veterans who are doing well financially should lose some or all of their disability pay, DAV and its allies speak up and say, no, these are earned benefits that compensate from your loss of earning capacity caused by service. They are not a welfare program. You can't turn off when a veteran succeeds despite their injuries. But DAV can only be effective if it's strong. And if it's only as strong if veterans join, stay active, and support that work. So if you're watching this and you're a disabled veteran, here's your action step. Become a DAV member if you're not already. If you're not already a member, get plugged in, attend the meetings, follow DAV legislation's alerts, and share them with other vets. When DAV raises the alarm about changes to the rating schedule, add your voice, calls, emails, and public comments. Give DAV more firepower when they go to the Hill. In closing, your role and the contact. So what do you do with all of this? First, recognize that these hearings are the start of a long technical process to rewrite the rules and decide your rating. It will be sold as modernization, efficiency, and aligning with data. But without strong DAV representation and veteran involvement, modernization can become as an excuse to lower ratings, tighten criteria, and say, the data shows you're fine, so we can pay you less. Second, don't stand alone. Join DAV. Support the people who are in the trenches with your claims and on the halls of Congress defending your benefits. Share this information with your battle buddies, your family, and your local veteran community. Most importantly, remember that disability compensation is not a gift. It's not a welfare, like some people like to say. It is a part of a contract, a legal obligation this country took on when you raised your right hand and served. It exists to be recognized the earning power you lost because of that service. Modernization should mean improving how the contract is honored, not finding clever ways to walk away from it. And if this video helped you understand what's at stake, share it with another veteran. Talk about it with your DAV chapter. And if you're not a DAV member yet, now it's time. Hearings like this are just the beginning. We need to be ready for all of them. I hope you found this information beneficial, and thank you very much. Have a great Friday, and God bless.